I just want to quickly ask a rapid fire, 30 seconds, okay, each of you. Let's start with Rohan. What was the first aha moment in an AI pilot that made you change your guardrails?
Okay. See, I think pilots are very beautiful because everything looks nice and everything works, right? But when you start moving that into production, the gap that starts coming inside is what's your tolerance for error, especially if that is going to be towards accessing mission-critical systems, production databases. So the aha moment was the AI was actually supposed to execute something which nobody predicted because it had all of the tool sets that it was able to make decisions on, which we didn't predict in a pilot, but it happened in production.
Okay. Thank you. Question to Bhavana. If you had $1 to spend, would you put it into a stronger guardrails in production or stronger testing before release?
I would put 70 cents to the guardrails and 30 cents for testing. Testing will identify or catch what you were looking for, but guardrails is something that you don't know, right? Like prompt injection, tool misuse, data exfiltration. That's something you can only identify with guardrails in place. So I would put my money where the surprises live.
Okay. Last question to Jim. If you could track only one metrics for AI risk, what would be?
That's easy. Visibility. Where are we using it? I've said it throughout the whole presentation here. Rohan, both of these two have said the same thing. It's visibility. Understand where you have your AI in use, and then where are we trying to use unsanctioned, and what control is in place to stop it, prevent it, and detect it. That would be the metric for me.
Perfect. Thank you. So with that, we wanted to open up for our audience to ask questions.
Great talk, thank you. So maybe one question for all of you. So Rohan, starting with you. This is good to kind of have security and guardrails to avoid attack. Wondering maybe your best thoughts, governance practices or strategies once attack has happened, then how we can maybe mitigate the risk or reduce the risk or revert back the loss. So that's to you. Bhavana, I'll come to you. I think one point you very well made that I think the biggest resistance is around the space of governance. One of the way could manage it by agentifying the governance, right? How we can agentify it and speed it up so we can cap up with it. So maybe your thoughts on that front. Where are we and what we can do to speed it up? And I think, Jim, I think your point was very valid to bring visibility to the adoption of AI and the risk around it to the, I think, C-suite. Now, one can argue that if we don't adopt AI, we are at a bigger risk because the attackers would be way more smarter than us. So wondering if there are any thoughts on that front and how to bring visibility on that side.
Okay, thank you. 3 very good questions. So I'll start with the first one, right, which was, I'll start with my question, which was essentially to look at what happens if, in the event of a security attack, how do you prevent it from happening? What are the proactive controls that you would put inside as well, right, if I have to replay that question back to you. What it boils down to is, you have to have agent identity. That's going to be your control plane, because today you're not talking about humans accessing systems, but it's all the non-human identities. And identity as a control layer is the only layer that is going to then help you create a kill switch, which is when something, an NHI can't accesses something that it's not allowed to or performs a data exfiltration attempt, right? Identity is the thing that can take it off the grid, right? So that's the first point. The other one is intent-based access control. So that's more of a proactive control, technical control that you need to put in place, not a reactive one, right? And what intent-based access control would do is that every identity, whether it's human, agent, machine, etc., would declare its intent at runtime. And then based on the intent, it would be given a token and certain permissions. You don't have wide-standing permissions because that's like giving a blank check to somebody, right? Now, when you give a blank check to somebody, in most times, things don't work out well, right? So it's exactly the same thing. You don't want to have standing privileges. Right, and intent-based access control gives you that, right, wherein which once an activity is concluded, the entire permission boundary is also essentially depleted at that point of time. And I would say the last part, what it essentially as a framework comes down to is continuous adaptive trust, right, which is you don't have trust that is ever permissive, or even between two agents, you don't have implicit trust, which is essentially embedded in the system, but it is determined at runtime based on the intent and the activity that that particular agent, human machine would want to do.
Okay, I think you asked me how you can speed up the governance part. So I'd say, which everybody, kind of brought that up, was visibility. Start with your inventorying your AI, right? You need to know what AI systems you have, who owns them, what data they touch, right? So you start there. You have, second thing, put together an AI governance board, right? Where you bring in your application owners, you bring in your security, you bring compliance, you bring them together, right? Take decisions where you have to when you're releasing an AI feature. And then I would say one thing that none of us actually touched on is NHI, which is non-human identity. And with AI agents, right, that's a newer identity. Systems are not ready for those, right? They were all written around humans. So now think about a strategy for NHIs that would be helpful in the long run. I just tell you that within PwC, that's our focus project for this year and next, like putting our NHI strategy in place. So I would say if you sum up these three things, you can speed up your governance.
And I'm sorry, can you repeat your question? I didn't.
So I think we talked about risk which comes with the adoption of AI. But I would argue that there's a bigger risk to the organization who doesn't pace up with the adoption of AI. And that bigger risk is probably also a trigger for the C-suite to keep adopting AI, and maybe you have to put governance and everything in place. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I understand. Yeah, on the governance side of things, it's just like anything we take to the C-suite. When we want to make a change to our organization, whether it's in cyber or within the functionality and capabilities, we have to come up with a business case. And I tell anyone that's adopting AI, make sure you know what your end goal is, whether it's cybersecurity capabilities, incident response, or data analytics, or robotics, autonomous processes. Design that going into it so you know how to measure your success on the other end if you've accomplished that goal. And that builds the business case and adds the value that you get from your board and your C-suite. And it especially goes into cyber because we are kind of the seatbelt of the car. We just assume it's there. We only need it whenever something bad happens and there's no return on investment. We need to build that value and why we're doing what we're doing within that space.